Hello, hello, hello. I can't remember how I did this last time. I've got the comments up. Evening, Peter. Evening, Adam. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, I hope you can hear me. And I hope that you could actually hear the thing that played the start of the stream. Still annoys me that it like takes up not the full screen, but I suppose if I actually downloaded a trailer or an ident that was 16:9, it might cover the trailer. I keep doing that, keep looking over there, which is the laptop. So yeah, it is. And good evening, Pedro. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well too, Adam. So yeah, episode 2. And basically, I'm not going to do the DVDs and Blu-rays in one stream because it'd take absolutely ages. So tonight, and plus I still want to sort of like figure out what the next themes will be and then gather footage, actually do some research, which is shocking for anyone who's been a subscriber to the Kalula Shrinker channel. But yeah, so we're going to do the Blu-rays tonight, DVDs on the next stream, and then hopefully, if it all goes to plan, episode 4 of Labierdomania will be actually an edited sort of video that will be uploaded, and I might do like a premiere of it or something like that so people can chat along if they so wish. So yeah, hope everyone's doing well, both watching live and of course when this playback goes live as well. And of course, Labierdomania wouldn't be Labierdomania without Labier. And today I'm going to be drinking this, which was kindly dropped off by Adam, aka Merseybeers, in the chat. And I was going to review this, but it was the only beer that was in the fridge. And it was like that or Corona. I've already had a bottle of Corona with a fry up. So, yeah, so I won't be shooting a review of this, Adam, I'm afraid. But I shall be enjoying it. And it's a triple IPA from Brew by Numbers, Mosaic and Citra, 10% ABV, not bad for a Monday evening. So this massive triple IPA includes 5 unique hop additions, Incognito, Whole Leaf, T90, Cryo, and a Spectrum to create a beer with complex expression of Mosaic and Citra. The result is an exploration in tropical aromas and flavours. Sweet mango, ripe papaya, juicy passion fruit lead the way with a generous oat addition, providing body that is soft, smooth, and thick. So pretty much describing me in a beer. Gold top, gold label, number 85, which is the triple IPAs. So yeah, using the Cloudwater glass. Bit of point of contention is Cloudwater at the moment. I personally, water off a duck's back for me. It's a little bit frustrating that they've sort of gone back on what they were saying at the start of lockdown, and it's not even like sort of being like a sort of like a reassessment of the situation. It's just completely going back on what they've said, and after saying some quite silly things as well. But yeah, it's upset a lot more people than it will upset me. I just hope that the beers that aren't in Tesco, I just hope the quality of the beer continues because they are a good brewery. And I think for the most part they are really good people. But there's certain people involved in Cloudwater now who I am not a big fan of. And I think if any other person or if they're in any other industry and they were spouting what they've spouted on social media, they'd have lost their job. But not on this occasion. But hey ho, it is what it is. And yeah, I'll probably pick up the beers from Tesco if I see them. I won't go out of the way to pick them up, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Anyway, we're not here to moan about the politics of beer. We're here to do the exciting task of watching an overweight man go through his Blu-ray collection. This, I used to have a much bigger collection back in the day, as some people from the Mondo Squallido side of things will remember. But due to circumstance and things of that nature, I did actually have to sell a big chunk. And to tell you what, it's if you get a special edition and you keep hold of it long enough, you can make, it's ridiculous how much money you can actually make from films. Kind of rushing the start of this because my friend wanted to go for a cigarette last minute, so I was like, I have to be ready for half seven so I can at least stream. So these aren't organised at all, really. I'm just trying to organise my Arrow collection because that's predominantly what this is going to be. And there's going to be big holes in this collection as well. And I'm getting football updates, even though my bet's not going to come in. Stupid accumulators. But hey ho, that's what you get for betting, I suppose. So yeah, massive thank you, by the way, for the last week's stream. Not only for those who came along and watched it live and the comments and the questions and all that good stuff, but also to people who watched it after it was uploaded and for some great feedback. And I've got, that's not because I've been doing anything questionable, it's just because I forgot to take the sticker off. But anyway, yeah, just a massive thank you. The numbers were a lot better than I thought they'd be, to be honest. But it's just fun to do this sort of stuff, and it's sort of rekindled my passion for film again, even though I've not actually really watched any films since last time. But I think I'll do that going forward. Just give a little bit of an overview of some films that I might have watched in between streams. But yeah, so I said, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's staying safe. Hope everyone's taking advantage of being able to go outside, meet up with friends who you've not seen for ages, catch up with family, share a few drinks, blah, 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 blah. But I hope you're doing it in a safe and respectful manner, of course. So, yeah, let's have a look. What's the most modern DVD in your collection? I shall show you in a minute because I can't actually, off the top of my head, remember what it would be. But yeah, I think let's have a quick taste of the beer. And then what I'm going to do is, once we've got these all sorted out, quickly throw up a little bit of a, because I've got a few more things to show in terms of like trailers and stuff. It probably makes this potentially, a copyright nightmare. But it is what it is. And what are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? With the way this website's going, fuck you for having creativity, essentially. That's essentially what YouTube is doing. But we're not here to have sour grapes about YouTube. We've gone through that multiple times in the past. And yeah, what a thrilling thing to watch me sorting out my DVDs, well, my Blu-rays off camera. And yeah, I'll probably have picked some more up by the next one. Anyway, so without any further ado, I think I've got them sorted out in a somewhat good fashion. We shall just quickly pop on our first clip.
There's a legend in these mountains of a killer. Inhuman, insane. If you so much as whisper his name, he will appear. And if he appears, he'll be the last thing you'll ever see. Madman. Rated R.
So that was the TV. Oh, God. Wow. I was expecting a bit more feedback there. Yes, that was the TV spot, or one of the TV spots for Madman, which is... I'm not a big fan of slashers, fundamentally. I just... it's not one of my favourite genres, if I'm being honest. But I watched the Vinegar Syndrome print of that. This lovely little beer, by the way. Cheers, Adam. Vinegar Syndrome put out a wonderful, wonderful release of it. And it's just a nice, charming slasher. A video nasty, if I remember correctly. But yeah, for someone who's not a big fan of slashers, even though Giallos are one of my favourite film genres, I thought it was really good. And the theme tune was entertaining and a little bit annoying. So, Matt Binks says, "Evening, Peter." Good evening, Matt. Hope you're doing okay. He says, "The last DVD I bought was It Follows. Really enjoyed it." I still haven't watched that. I really need to pull my finger out when it comes to more sort of modern cinema. But I think we discussed that last week, didn't we? So, we're going to kick things off with probably the biggest sort of collection within the collection. And that's my Arrow Films. Probably one of the best companies in the UK for film releases. You know, some of the bigger films, they've got a few more sort of films you wouldn't expect the label to do now. But they do really good jobs on their presentations and prints. Slight hiccups here and there, but every release, every now and then, can sometimes not be the greatest. But yeah, and I think at this point, it may have finished by now, but they were doing an Easter sale, and I should have used that as an opportunity to pick up those sort of like films you should already own, which I did, because there's a load of Lucio Fulci stuff that I've just not got anymore, and I love Lucio Fulci. And speaking of which, this wasn't a purposeful segue. Kick things off, and I won't go into too much detail with these, because unless people have any questions regarding these, or if any of the things that I'm going to show anybody wants to see a little bit more detail, hear a bit more, you never know, maybe do some like sort of mini Labierdomania videos, just looking at different releases. There's a good release from Arrow coming out in July. It's a Polizio Tesci box set. Can't remember what the films are, but it looks gorgeous. It's like 45 quid, and you get 5 films, which is not too bad pre-order. So nice selection of Italian crime, which I've not actually seen, which is always a plus. So we've got classic zombie flesh eaters, Lucio Fulci, otherwise known as Zombie 2. Just a classic zombie film. It would have been nice if I'd have got the steelbook version of this, but it's just nice to have a nice print of zombie flesh eaters. Iconic piece of art there. Yeah, it's just a good schlocky zombie film, and is it Fabio Frizzi, if I remember correctly, does an absolutely fantastic soundtrack to the score to this film is awesome. It really, really is. I'm in Portugal right now, but I live in France for ages, and the situation is weird everywhere. A bit like 1984, I feel. Life needs to go on. Very much to an extent, I would agree. I don't think we can cope going back to what we've been through. There's always that sense of inevitability about it, but I think it would just cripple us even more if we did. But yeah, it's a strange situation, really, isn't it? Next up, we've got Theatre of Blood. Directed by Douglas Hickox, is that? Starring the legendary Vincent Price. This is a great little release as well. It's got a audio commentary from the League of Gentlemen, which is always entertaining. And yeah, it's schlocky, it's campy, but it's nasty in places. Vincent Price is just absolutely fantastic in this, as you would expect. Basically, he's an actor who is... He plays an actor who basically gets slated for his performances. I think it's based on one main performance, or they sort of... And basically, he kills a handful of critics in sort of like in the themes of the films or plays. Well, the plays, because I think they're like theatre critic. It's been a while. I've watched it once, then once with the audio commentary. But he sort of like kills them in the same sort of fashion as the productions that he's been in. And yeah, it's just a good schlocky, campy British 70s horror fest, really, with some really dark comic things. There's this scene where he basically feeds a critic to death, and it's absolutely fucking disgusting, but it's wonderful at the same time. Next up, we've got one of the Arrow box sets that I have, and this is Graveyards of Honor, which is... It has the original Graveyard of Honor by Kinji Fukasaku, and then the 2002 remake/reimagining by Takeshi Miike, very prolific director. I've started to get into Asian exploitation a little bit more than I used to, especially the sort of like Yakuza gangster style films. The original film it's nice, it's grim, it doesn't glorify anything. I've still yet to finish the Takeshi Miike remake of it, which is a little bit more lively, a little bit more in your face. But it's a lovely little set, and very dusty on top though. And then you get an absolutely beautifully designed booklet in there with some stills. Oh, a bit saucy. But yeah, it's a lovely little release, this, and yeah, I love the sort of iconography within these films. Is this stream keeping people entertained, by the way, or should I have just done a video series looking at my DVDs and Blu-rays? I don't know, and I want to try and get through these as quickly as possible, but without sort of jeopardizing the stream itself. Let's see, last DVD I bought I think was Martyrs, the French one, and Black Christmas. I really enjoyed the original version of Martyrs. That's another one I've watched once and never watched again. And Black Christmas, I've never seen the original nor the remake, just because I had a bit of a stick up my arse when it came to slashers for some reason, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to do that. That's what it's all about. It's like me with beer. It's like trying new things. What about Battle Royale? Old Boy, Itchy the Killer. I really enjoyed Battle Royale. I had that lovely box set that Arrow did when it first properly came out by Arrow. I mean, it had been released by Tart in Asia and stuff. But the first film's absolutely amazing. Can't remember much about the sequel. Old Boy, I've still yet to watch that. The reason why I've not watched it yet is I want to pick up the Vengeance trilogy box set so I can watch them all together. And Itchy the Killer, I don't know. I found that quite an annoying film, to be honest, when I first watched it. But again, I was a lot more close-minded when it came to cinema, so it's definitely worth me having another look. Are you a David Lynch fan at all? I don't know. He's a very visual and aesthetic sort of filmmaker. But I don't know, some of his films and Twin Peaks, I'm not going to go on another Twin Peaks run again. I just think a lot of it's silly, but it's like lauded as being, what's the word? A lot more important than it actually is. And a good friend Rob from Hopsy, and I'm not saying everyone's like this, but a lot of people who like David Lynch, as Rob says, like David Lynch to sort of like look interesting. It's sort of like people who like Werner Herzog. I think Werner Herzog's a wonderful director, but he's one of those names that you could see people going, oh, well, it's not as good as Herzog's Heart of Glass now, is it? No. And, oh, yes, I think his remake of Bad Lieutenant was infinitely more superior than the original. Bad Lieutenant, the remake's really good. I've never seen the original with Harvey Keitel. But yeah, I think David Lynch, he's a bit... I mean, Eraserhead's a masterpiece, I'll say that. But I think it's one of those things, I have to go back to these films with fresh eyes. I like Battle Royale. The second one is disappointing. Have you ever watched the Russian Night Watch, the Supernatural? Didn't they do Night Watch and Day Watch? Is that about vampire? If I remember correctly, was it about vampires? And they could fly? Because I remember picking up a cheap DVD box set of a film called... I don't know, I might be thinking of the wrong one there. Second Battle Royale was rubbish. Didn't enjoy Itchy myself. I don't. It just seemed like because I was part of a community on YouTube at the film days with like the most extreme cinema. Like, what are your top 5 like most extreme films? And like people would always like say Audition by Takeshi Miike, which is just boring. I just don't see the appeal of that film at all. But then again, you can't really say Takeshi Miike is a bad or a good director. Because he's done so many films of so many genres. Sort of like a modern Asian equivalent of Jess Franco. But yeah, Itchy just frustrated me. You need to watch Old Boy, though. Definitely. It's on the list, and I'm not even going anywhere near that remake. I also love Battle Royale, the movie, and the book. I'd be interested to read the book. Was it initially a manga or was it an actual novel? But I wouldn't be interested to read it. You talk about vampires and other things. Yes, Fly and Witch Scene. I think I have seen that. Don't remember much about it. I remember it being a beautiful looking film and for some reason reminded me of the Metro games. Yes, Night Watch and Day Watch were great, says Matt. I'll have to see if I can pick that. I could probably pick that up dead cheap in CEX, actually. Totes Central. Fucking hell. Tote Cereal says, get some noodles and calamari for Old Boy. Isn't that where, like, he bites the head off the octopus? Hi, everyone, says Thomas. Evening, Thomas. Hope you're doing well. And Day Watch wasn't as good. Yeah, I remember that not being as entertaining as the Night Watch. But anyway, I shall get back onto a few films, then we'll watch another TV spot, I think. But thank you so much for the comments, by the way. This is what I'm probably going to really miss about when I do eventually sort of do... Mind you, I kind of like doing the live stuff as much as possible. So it might... We don't know what this podcast is going to be. We don't know how long it's going to go on for. If I'm going to have guests, we're going to do it live. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much for everyone who's joining me tonight. Have you seen Carrier by Kiyoshi Kurosawa? The American remake was called Pulse. I don't think I have. I can't say I have. Pulse, wasn't that the about like computer ghosts and stuff? Or am I thinking of something completely different? I don't know. Next up, we've got the first giallo of this video, and this is the suspicious death of a miner, which directed by Sergio Martino, fantastic director. who also, of course, directed Strange Vice of Mrs. Vard and Torso, which is an interesting little giallo. What I like about this, though, it sort of like mixes poliziotteschi with the giallo genre. And the beauty of translations, there's the original artwork, which I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest. I like the newly commissioned artwork for this release. But there's a scene where, like, because I think the main character's like a police officer or a detective, surprise, surprise, and he goes to this crime scene of, like, a woman's been, like, brutally murdered and raped. And in the English dub, they refer to her private parts as a love tunnel. Bear in mind, there's a dead woman at this scene, and the English dub thought, oh, let's call it a love tunnel. So disrespectful. So disrespectful. Let's see. I think I still have Night Watch if you want to lend. Oh, it's a good shout. That. And, by the way, Adam, if any of these films that I show tickle your fancy, then let me know. Have you seen... okay, we've done that one. I think I missed Adam's first comment there. Yeah, the octopus was infused with citra and strata hops. Really brought the salty taste of the ocean. 4.25 and untapped. Now, that's the comment I like to see. Very much so. Next up, we've got a film by a director who I think he's well appreciated in the industry, but somehow I still think he's ridiculously underrated. And that's William Friedkin. And this is Al Pacino in Cruising, which is a nice little sleazy film. It's amazing to see these like well-established actors nowadays, and then you see that they once starred in films like this. What I like about this is it doesn't sort of like paint that community, because it's about cruising. It doesn't paint that community too much in a bad light, but it shows you how sort of dark it could be. Because there's basically a guy who's going around preying on people, on men, who are going to gay bars and stuff like that. And Al Pacino plays as a police officer who has to go undercover and sort of like find out what's going on, who it is. And he sort of like gets like kind of involved in that world, and it sort of really affects him mentally. But yeah, it's quite a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a tough watch, just because of like the atmosphere and the mood, and I think it's one of William Friedkin's most underrated films. Sticking with the Italian stuff, we've got a couple now. We've got The Climber. Who's this directed by? Directed by Pasquale Squitieri, who directed Gang of Naples and I Am the Law. This is another poliziotteschi starring Joe D'Alessandro from Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula. Andy Warhol connection there. And yeah, he's basically sort of like a small-time criminal who gets... He's sort of... I can't remember really. It's been a long time. Really don't like the original poster artwork for this. And he sort of like messes with the wrong people, if that makes sense. And it's basically him fighting for his survival. Well, it's a good little film, that. Again, stylish like most Italian films from the day were, even with budget constraints and that sort of thing. But yeah, very nice film indeed. Then we've got a bit of giallo action from Massimo Dalmagno as part of the Schoolgirls in Peril trilogy. So, What Have You Done to Solange? Starring Camille Keaton from I Spit in Your Grave fame. Now, it's been a long time since I've watched this. Expect to hear that a hell of a lot in these collection videos. But so beautifully stylish. I can't remember who did the score for this. Let me just find that. Ennio Morricone, El Maestro. Where do you stand on old school kung fu films? Says Adam from Lazy Beers. That's a tough one for me because you'll get some proper dreary, boring examples. But at the same time, I know 88 Films have released quite a few of Jackie Chan's earlier films. And in fact, they've got a really interesting lineup of old kung fu films. But I think sometimes they can just be really boring. But when you get one that's done right, they can be insane. I can't think of any that spring to mind. I mean, I love the ninja films of Godfrey Ho, which are basically just films that were never completed, compiled together with additional scenes to make it look like it's a full film. And sometimes it's quite clear that they're not just doing a good. He's a great director in the worst possible way. And I think that's what I like about kung fu films is when they're stupid and silly. But then again, there's been some really good, genuine, like masterpieces. But it is admittedly a sort of part of cinema that I haven't really dabbled with too much. So it'd be unfair for me to make any sort of opinions on that. But stuff like Ninja Warrior with what's his name was it? Not Richard Curtis. Richard Burton? No, not Richard Burton. Oh my god, it's like a really well-established actor, and then he's getting involved in these cut and paste jobs. But I love it because you see these films and the ninjas, and they've got when they're dressed up as ninjas, they've got the headband on, and it says ninja on the headband, and like people blowing up everywhere. But yeah, kung fu films. I need to see. I've not really watched all of the like Bruce Lee films, to be honest. The Jackie Chan sort of stuff I've seen is more of his like 80s action efforts. But yeah, I do enjoy them every now and then, but I've been burnt too many times. And I think a good way to watch kung fu films is picking up these like 16 films for £1 DVDs that you can get from like CEX and stuff, or like you could get them for like a penny. And it's just ludicrous that people have put time and effort into producing a piece of art, and then it's just sat on a shelf with 10 other films for a penny or 10p in CEX. Freakin' is one of the great. Scorsese is a masterpiece. Not seen Cruising. Will def give it a go. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a change of pace. But that being said, if you've watched To Live or Die in LA, I think that would be a really good sort of double feature. And actually, that's just reminded me, just to deviate from Arrow for a little bit, a double feature that I would highly recommend would be this, Cruising, but also Hardcore, Porsche Raiders Hardcore with George C. Scott. Just sort of like nasty films. Hardcore, basically about a very well-to-do Christian family. Daughter goes on a trip to New York, doesn't come back, and basically gets involved in the adult entertainment world. And there may be links that she might have been involved in a snuff film. And George C. Scott goes all the way to New York and basically goes undercover to try and find his daughter. It's also got Peter Boyle in there as well. Paul Schrader, again, another name who he's so well respected in the industry, but I think he is still underrated. But yeah, that's a really good film, especially if you like your sort of adult cinema of that time. I love seeing like billboards in old films of like what's playing at the grindhouses and what's going on in 42nd Street in New York. I love that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's just they're just both like brooding sort of. There's no reprise Do you know what I mean? There's no sort of like light moments, and I sort of like it when films are like that. Yeah, that'd be a great double feature. Let's see. What about film soundtracks? Texas Chainsaw Massacre has to be one of the most original soundtracks. Certainly does. See, I love the Italian composers. I say that I've not got one CD or one LP, and that's something that I do need to rectify because I've got. Just remind me, if you go onto Spotify and search for Mondo Squallido presents Labierdomania, I'm actually compiling songs from some of my favourite film scores because it's really surprising what you can find on Spotify. And a lot of the times, I'll have heard the score before I even knew what the film was. I mean, again, I know I keep harping on about Giallo films and Polizia Tesci films, but they had some of my favourite soundtracks. Franco Michelazzi, Stelvio Cipriani, of course, Ennio Morricone. I can never properly remember Nino. No, it's not him. Classic. I do a film about film podcasts, and I can't remember the name of anyone involved in films. Riz Ortolani, obviously from Cannibal Holocaust, one of the most beautiful title tracks ever, and it had no right to be. That Cannibal Holocaust, which I don't have a release of, I really want to pick up that Grindhouse releasing, or Grindhouse Films release of Cannibal Holocaust, because I think that's like the most definitive way, but it's always just like a few quid too expensive when I'm looking at it on eBay and stuff. I mean, you can get some really decent DVDs from like Denmark and some of those countries, but mind you, as long as I can get the film uncut on DVD and Blu-ray, even though from what I've heard, the Shameless release doesn't cut out too much to the point where it ruins the film, and you could argue the stuff that they do cut out is better for the film. But yeah, just these grisly, nasty films, and they've got some of the most beautiful cinematic soundtracks and scores you'll ever hear. Madman, that's even got a good score. What else? I like the Videodrome score. But yeah, I do love a good film soundtrack. Suspiria got one of the best just scores ever. Goblin are a wonderful, wonderful band. But then you'd look at, well, might as well talk about this, the Werner Herzog collection. Like, Werner Herzog's use of like Russian choirs in his films, just beautiful. Look at that. Look at you can tell that I've not watched some of these for absolutely ages. But yeah, I do love a good film soundtrack. So I'll quickly show this, and then we'll read the last couple of comments, and then we'll have another little bit of a TV spot. This podcast is going to go on for way longer than it should do, so I do apologise in advance. But this is one of my pride and joys in the collection. It's not rare. It's not hard to find. Sometimes you'll pay a little bit over the odds, but when it's in the sale, would highly recommend it. And this is the BFI release of the Werner Herzog collection. Just an absolutely wonderful director. What films are on this? So, there's Aegir Wrath of God. I'm looking at the feature-length films because there's loads of short films on this, documentaries. Fata Morgana, The Enigma of Caspar Hauser, which is one of the most touching and entertaining films I've ever watched. Land of Silence and Darkness. What else is there? Strutzek, Heart of Glass. There's the German and the English version of Nosferatu. His adaptation of Nosferatu is just perfect. Klaus Kinski is just a wonder. What a relationship to have. I'd love to have like a professional relationship with someone. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to be like what Klaus Kinski was to Werner Herzog, or what Werner Herzog is to Klaus Kinski. Just this sort of like volatile but loving relationship where you're literally almost killing each other, but it's worth it. I love that sort of like dynamic in like friendships anyway. Sort of like Larry David and Richard Lewis. Then Wojciech. What else is there? Fitzcarraldo. Burden of Dreams, which is the documentary about the making of Fitzcarraldo. Was it Fitzcarraldo? I can't remember. Where he pushes a boat up a mountain and actually did it, which is insane. Why would you go to that much effort? But I'm glad he did. Cobra Verde, and then loads of like South Bank shows, piece on Werner Herzog, the documentary Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe. Then there's God's Angry Men, The Guardian lecture, Werner Herzog in conversation with Neil Norman, packed full of special features and beautifully presented, and you get a nice booklet, and you get some of the most visually striking films you'll ever see. Some are a little bit, it gets a bit too much, but yeah, can't go wrong with Werner Herzog. Yeah, probably a bit mainstream, but love Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. Recommendations of Bruce Lee films: Game of Death and Way of the Dragon. These are films that I like watched years ago, but never gone back to. And I love Jackie Chan, and I do like Bruce Lee. Game of Death 2, if you fancy a laugh, with Billy Ho. Freddie Kruliker says, what films do you watch in Octopus and Octopus 2? What films you want to watch is Octopus and Octopus 2. Amazing films. I'm sure I've heard they're like sort of like cheap creature features, aren't they? Are they sort of like relatively newish, like 80s, 90s? Because they're sometimes good to watch like really cheap, CGI ridden. Not Asylum level, because Asylum films are fucking awful. I don't understand why Sharknado was as popular as it was. I saw Heat in an independent cinema in France. It's part of the Paul Morrissey trilogy with Joe D'Alessandro. Oh, so cool. What a great place to watch a film. Do you know, I love stuff like that. And that's the one of the main things that I look forward to once we're allowed to go to like indoor spaces is going to the cinema again and watching like new presentations of like classic films. There's something so satisfying about that. And this triple IPA is going down way too easily. Let's see. Matt said, completely. I highlighted Adam's comment. Looked at the laptop again. Stop doing it. Highlighted Adam's comment, but then I just instantly dismissed it. I do apologise. Have you ever been to Fact Cinema in Liverpool? Do you ever take beers into the cinema with you? I have been to Fact once to watch the premiere of. Well, it wasn't the premiere. It was just an event that they were doing in multiple. Was it Curzon? I don't think it's Curzon who hosted it. But Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac Parts 1 and 2, the director's cut together in one sitting. Went on my own because nobody would ever want to go fucking watch a Lars von Trier film with me. And it was just a really awesome experience. Beautiful, beautiful cinema. Do I ever take beers? I don't know. I mean, I'll sneak food in and stuff, but I don't know what would stop me from sneaking beers in. Although Home in Manchester has a nice cinema, and they've got an alright selection of beers. But I think if I took a beer into the cinema, I'd be needing a piss every 5 minutes. So I try and be as sensible as possible when it comes to going to the cinema. But nothing wrong with having a few beers, sneaking them in, or buying them from the cinema bar. Did you hear Drock, the guy from Portishead, did a Judge Dredd score? Old analog synths, much better than what they used. Ah. What, so they actually didn't use his score? That's interesting. I like music made with analog instruments. It's got to be the most generic sentence I've ever said in my life. But yeah, that sounds interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and see if it'll actually play a full trailer while I go for a piss. So hold tight, everyone, and I shall be right back. Oh, let's just see. I piss beforehand and only take 2 with me, then usually buy food like nachos or popcorn. I'm lucky that I can walk to my nearest Odeon. Now that sounds good. I mean, we'll be having our own cinema in the Connie soon. I'm even part of a Facebook group on it, and I'd love to be able to host like a cult film night. That'd be awesome. Skelmersdale's premiere cult film night. They probably wouldn't allow me to show the films I want to show, but it would be good to do that. Nico Fident show, Fabio Frizzi, Claudio Simonetti, Pino Donaggio, Giorgio Moroder, Rizzo Ortolani, so much of them. Yeah, Giorgio Moroder's soundtracks. God, The Chase from what's that film called? What's the film called? Late Night Express, was it? About the guy who gets caught like smuggling weed and then gets thrown into like a Turkish prison. That's a good film. The Chase is a great song. I love his score to Cat People. Just an absolute genius in his own right. But you've listed off some very talented musicians there. If the one Connie is anything like Parbod and Bursko Wharf one, you get intermission. So additional piss time. Sounds good to me. I think it's very much needed. So I've only looked at a handful of films, so when we come back, I'm going to have to be a little bit quicker because I don't want to keep you all too long. Although I'm having fun doing this. So yeah, be right back and enjoy the trailer. I need to get intermission clips. I need to actually compile some intermission clips as well for future streams. But anyway, be right back, ladies and gentlemen. So that was a lot more fucking obnoxious than I remember it being. I was having the piss and all I could hear was like just loads of loud noises. And Adam's just going to walk the dog. Not a euphemism. He actually is walking the dog. But yeah, Profondo Rosso. Great little film from one of the masters of the gialli, Dario Argento. So let's continue with this. Next up, we've got Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, directed by Sam Peckinpah. This was a film that for ages, evening James, hope you're doing well. This was a film that I'd been wanting to watch for absolutely ages. I heard so much about it, and I've got to say, I found it remarkably dull. I just don't understand. It's not a bad film. It's not an awful film. I just don't understand why it gets the sort of praise it does. It just, I don't know. I found it maybe a tiny bit boring. I don't know what it was. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Then we've got Climax from Gaspar Noé. This is a masterpiece of a film, in my opinion. My opinion means absolutely fuck all, by the way. And for some reason, this is the Blu-ray case that I've got all my sort of arrow inserts in, which I think could be good, sort of like dotted around on the wall. Let's build up the porno wall. Now look, schlock. It's all right. Never seen The Exorcist 3. I've only ever seen The Exorcist 1. Never seen Tideland by Terry Gilliam. And I've never seen The Game, starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn, even though the fact that there's a film starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn sounds good to me. But yeah, anyway, back to the film at hand. Climax by Gaspar Noé. What a soundtrack this has got. You've got a bit of Thomas Bangalter in there. You've got a bit of Ceron, is that what they're called? I can't remember. That French sort of like disco group. Basically, I just love to know people like this. There's something really attractive to me about like girls who dance professionally. Not in that way, but you know, like there's something so satisfying and attractive about like a girl who like goes to dance lessons in their spare time. Do you know what I mean? Weird little diversion there. You were thinking about Midnight Express. That's the one. And that the woman from that was also in Inferno with Dario Argento's Inferno. I think you should be hosting this stream, Pedro, because you're doing a much better job actually putting the correct names of films out there. But yeah, this is a great film. It's grim as fuck, as you would expect from Gaspar Noé. It gets a little bit over the top with the camera movements and the use of lighting and that sort of stuff. Great choreography. And it's basically about a dance group sort of thing. I don't know what dance troupe would that be? Yeah, dance troupe. It says dance troupe on the case, so I'll go with dance troupe. And they're just basically having like one of their sort of like sessions, having a bit of a blowout, you know, getting a bit high, having a few drinks. But someone spikes the punch, and then it just descends into chaos. Gets uncomfortable as fuck to watch, which I love about Gaspar Noé. Irreversible. Jesus Christ, that's a hard film. But yeah, this is a wonderful piece of filmmaking, in my opinion. And yeah, I do like Gaspar Noé. I like nihilistic directors. There's just something about that, and plus, it's like the French subculture. That's why, with a diversion, I love films like Le Haine, which, by the way, this release from BFI is beautiful. Watched the actual cinematic re-release of this that they did before they released this box set. God, it's a beautiful film, and this release is gorgeous. But yeah, I love that sort of like French youth culture. I'd love to go to Paris, not just to like see the Eiffel Tower or a place like that, but I'd love to go to the suburbs of Paris. Do you know what I mean? Like go to the proper, what people consider the dingiest parts. Just like hearing the music coming out the windows. I don't know. There's just I'm overly romanticizing it, but yeah, there's something about French sort of like youth culture that is so appealing to me. Sort of like the French electronic music. There's just I don't know what it is. It's got its own sort of like feel and aesthetic. The soundtrack to this is fantastic, by the way. It really got me into French hip hop, and there's just some great examples in this film. And then they did they released. It wasn't a soundtrack, and I'm doing that thing where my nose gets blocked. It's probably all the dust off the top of the DVDs and Blu-rays. What was I going to say? I can't remember what I was saying. What a professional podcast this is. But yeah, there's completely lost my train of thought. I was talking about French hip hop. But why was I talking about French hip hop? I don't know. Let me read the comments. What about Harmony Korine kids? Bully, Gummo, Julian Drunken Boy. I remember those exploitation films. Lehen? Yeah. And probably my French is probably terrible at pronouncing this. And I don't like the new sort of BBFC certification. I just noticed that. I got a tote bag with this release as well, which went to my collection. But I'm not a big fan of Harmony Korine. He just annoys the tits off me. I don't know what it is. His films just rub me up the wrong way. I tried watching that god awful film he did. Spring Break, was it called? But hey, who am I to criticise a man who's now doing, you know, did you an Yves Saint Laurent advert recently or promotion with Iggy Pop? But yeah, just like French subculture. We'll just end on French subculture. Yeah, that's what it's all about. They didn't release like a soundtrack to them, but they sort of like released a music inspired by the film. You know, like of MC Solar and that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is a masterpiece of a film. Don't really care too much about Matthew Kassovitz' other films because they just don't have the sort of same feel as this. But yeah, Vincent Cassel, what can you say? What a man he is. Awesome film if you've not seen it. Highly recommended. I'm actually liking how I'm connecting different films here. Then we've got, I think we might as well just show all of these at once. A few sort of Maiko Kaji related releases. We've got the Lady Snowblood box set that Arrow released. Again, missed out on the steelbook, but this includes Lady Snowblood and then Lady Snowblood Love Song of Vengeance. Beautiful films. She's just absolutely stunning in general. But yeah, just the way these films are shot. Who's directed these? I can't remember who the director is. Anyway, it's unimportant, but they're just two great films. Awesome stuff. Then there's the Stray Cat Rock box set. I don't think she's in all of the films from this, but this has got Delinquent Girl Boss, Wild Jumbo, Sex Hunter, Machine Animal, and Beat 71. Some of the most stylish pieces of cinema you'll ever see. And then the absolute classic Female Prisoner Scorpion collection. I fucking love these films, and I was so happy to get this because I got it dirt cheap. I used to have the Eureka Films DVD box set, which was that was awesome, and I sold that for well more than I actually bought it for. That's how obscene DVD collecting is. And yeah, basically that's sort of like my little Maiko Kaji select collection. And basically you could watch all these films and you'd think, oh, Quentin Tarantino just stole from all of these films. But I like it because he's unapologetic about lifting stuff from films like Kill Bill. But yeah, these are great. Great female in prison or women in prison films. In fact, I need to revisit these because it's been such a long time. I just love the artwork on these releases. Fantastic stuff. Really, really is. Highly recommended. Really, they are. Them and Lady Snowblood, instant purchases. If you like your more sort of like psychedelic sort of things, then the Stray Cat Rock is definitely your bag. So stylish. So stylish. Is it Spielberg? I can't remember what that's in relating to. And Lehen means to hate in French, or the hate. Yeah, it is a film full of hate. And in this sort of like climate where people are very much against police, to put it bluntly, I think it's got some nice parallels to it, actually. Because it deals with like themes of like youth disenfranchisement. I know that's not a word, just wanted to try and sound clever, but like racism, police brutality. But yeah, Lehen is just an absolute masterpiece. It really, really is. Next up, we've got just a boring Western. I only picked it up because it was like £2 from CEX, and I like the artwork there. Franco Nero and Texas Adio. Sort of like the Kung Fu films. One genre of film that I find it's hard to get really good examples of is the spaghetti western. There are so many boring spaghetti westerns out there. And I need to give this stuff a try because I got like 20 minutes into it and I'm like, I'm just bored. But it was cheap. Let's see. Yeah, the French extreme movement. Oh, yeah, definitely. You had like Martyrs. You had Martyrs. Oh, what's that one where with the pregnant woman and she's involved in a crash? That was a good one. And then there was that other like High Tension that sort of got lumped in with that sort of movement. Just the films have escaped me. There's that one that's sort of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff, and it's about like a family, but like the granddad or the patriarch of the family is like a Nazi. I can't remember. Why am I talking about films when I can't remember the name of films? I don't know why I'm doing it. Let's see. It was a joke about who directed the film. Okay, fair dues, Matt. I'm a bit slow on the intake tonight. I do apologise. But yeah. So a bit more of a modern film for Arrow to release. Children of Men. I really enjoyed this when it first came out. I bought this dead cheap off my mates, so I can't really talk too much about it. But I mean, Clive Owen is awesome. A very underrated actor, I think. Plus, it's got Michael Caine. You're only supposed to make sure that girl gets to safety because she's the only go who can give birth. And that's an actual line from the film. But yeah, Alfonso Cuarón, Oscar-lauded director. And it was a very good film. Very good film. That like one-shot scene where they're driving in the car and then the bikes come and throw them like car. Beautifully done. He's such a talented, technical director. Switchblade Romance. Never watched it. That's one of those films that's always been on a list, but I've never got around to watching it. I think it was the Gucci that came out. Yes, it was. See, I think that's sort of like the pinnacle of most modern film directors is, yeah, you have a few interesting films here and there, but you only become special when you do an advert for a clothing company or a fashion house. I'm so glad people are still watching this. It's really humbling that people want to take the time out of their lives to watch me talk about films and DVDs and Blu-rays that I own. I'll try and get through the rest of these as quick as possible because it could be a free part of this because I'm not making much progress. I'm really not. Children Murder is underrated. That and 28 Days Later are the best post-apocalyptic horrors. I fucking love 28 Days Later. There's just something about how that film is constructed. I like the sort of like, because I think they actually shot it on video as well. And it's just amazing with the budget that they had, how they actually managed to pull off making London look like it was deserted. I like sort of like, even like the movement of the infected as they're running, just the way the camera was picking it up, like the frame rate. It was just, there's such a grisly feel about it. I love 28 Days Later. Let's see. My bad. The meets the hatred. It's the same thing essentially. We all know what you're talking about, so no need to worry. Next up, from the Arrow Academy series, we've got The Night of the Hunter. Starring Robert Mitchum. He's awesome in this film. Especially that speech about love and hate. Just awesome. Basically plays as a criminal who overhears a fellow inmate talk about money that he's stashed. And then when he gets released, he makes out he's like this priest or like man of the cloth. Marries into the family of the inmate, and then but the kids know where the money is, so it's just a good psychological film. And even though it's rated 12, it is quite harsh. And for its time, I could imagine that being quite a controversial film. Then we've got Mal Lassender, who just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I think Amy Adams could definitely be in a remake of this, or like La Femme Readers, or was it The Laughing Woman? But yeah, that's not a bad sort of like thriller. It's kind of giallo. Yeah, but it's got this sort of like psychedelic. Again, a film that I've not watched, but I picked up for like £3 at CEX. Likewise, Kill Baby Kill from Mario Bava. Again, another prolific director. And yeah, I think this is one of his black and white efforts. No, it's not. It's because it says Eastman Colour. I think this is one that I've not actually watched. But again, picked up dirt cheap in CEX. In fact, I've still got the CEX receipt. I got Kill Baby Kill. Oh, my dear, I paid £8 for this. And then I also got Ben Wheatley's High Rise in that same purchase, and that camera angle's fucking awful. That's much better. Yeah, I picked up High Rise at the same time because Ben Wheatley's probably one of my favourite modern directors, even though his last sort of like 3 or 4 films I've not watched. But yeah, High Rise, that was an interesting film. If you like brutalism, then you're going to love that film. Plus, I think Tom Huddleston's really good in it. Shut it, Peter. So yeah, bit of Mario Bava. Definitely need to get my Mario Bava collection again, because Anchor Bay, was it Anchor Bay, did those like 2 nice box sets of Mario Bava films. But, you know, Bay of Blood, beautiful film. Didn't he also do $5 for an August Moon, which is gorgeous. Beautiful score to that film. Let's see. Is that Hunter from Gladiators? Wasn't he in The Circle? Or am I thinking of someone else? Probably thinking of something else. And then the last of my Arrow collection, God, we're at 1 hour and 13 minutes and I've only just finished the Arrow collection. Not because there's loads of films that I've got, just because I ramble on inanely, I should say. Yakuza Law. Yeah, this is quite a brutal film. The only thing that pisses me off, they show all the gore and violence from each of the stories in the opening credits. So it's not a shock, but it's still a nice, grisly, little Yakuza-like film. Plus, I really like anthologies. I think it's a great art form. So what should we look at next? Should we look at my 88 films collection? Sort of like what used to be Arrow's sort of like ugly red-headed stepbrother. Not got anything against redheads, because redhead girls are my jam, to be honest. Why am I objectifying people for no reason? I don't know. But yeah, 88 films, shameless. Didn't really sort of like get the praise that the likes of Arrow did. But I've got to say, the selection of films that 88 films have put out recent years, because I'm actually really quite sort of castrated from the film collection. That's not the word I wanted to use. I'm not castrated. Oh, it's a fucking well opener. But yeah, I'm sort of like out the loop when it comes to what the sort of like distribution companies are doing nowadays. But the great thing is, if you go to places like FOP or HMV or even on Savvy, you'll sometimes find some really good deals where it's like 2 for £15, and then you can find the odd bargain in the likes of CEX and on eBay and Amazon. And they've just done some fantastic releases. And like I said, they were the ones who've done a lot of their sort of like Jackie Chan films and films that you don't really would have seen on VHS. So my 88 films collection, we've got Lucio Fulci, Beatrice Cenci, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I'm annoyed because there was an even better version that was released on with slipcase. Now, if you'd have been talking to me 6 years ago, I wouldn't have bought this because I couldn't get the slipcase. But yeah, how beautiful is Adriana La Russa there? That's definitely going to get people to go in to watch your film. And also starting another legend, Thomas Millian. So yeah, Fulci does a period piece. I've got halfway through it, and I think every time I've tried to watch it, I've been tired. So I think it's been a bit unfair to the film itself. Then we've got A Black Veil for Lisa, directed by Massimo Dalmano, which, if I remember, is a giallo. It's not the most exciting, to be honest. In fact, I did get a little bit bored. I like the story of it, though. Like a detective and his wife is sort of like she's unfaithful, Shot in Germany, I think. It's like an Italian-German production. Beautiful original artwork on the Blu-ray. And this release is really nice because you get a nice postcard and then a nice little leaflet. A cold night in Hamburg. It certainly was. Well, it's a lovely little release, but I don't see myself watching it anytime soon, so I might just sell it on. But if I can get it back in its fucking slipcase. Language beer. Let's see. Trouble Every Day, Shaitan, Them, High Tension. Frontiers, that's the one I was thinking of, Frontiers. Inside, yes, Inside. That was a nasty, nasty little film. Yeah, I love to 28 Days Later. Didn't really care for the sequel, but it was good. And it was alright. That scene, though, with Robert Carlyle and his like ex-wife, where she's infected, but she's the host. God, the way that scene panned out, fucking tense and so well executed. Got James Rampant Liberia, who says best movie, Hobo with a Shotgun. Rutger Hauer. Can't remember the guy who directed that. Started off as like one of those mock film trailers, didn't it? But that was a good film. Evening, James, by the way. Next up, we've got some absolute schlocky goodness from the legend and the namesake of my film channel initially, Bruno Mattei. And this is Rat's Night of Terror. Comes in a gorgeous slipcase. And I can't believe I didn't frame it, you also get an A3 poster. I do have an A3. No, I don't want to take it out there. You get an A3 poster, which will look good, framed up. And yeah, this is a good film. This is got one of the best like twist endings you'll ever see. I actually used to have the German, one of the original German release posters of that, which had the artwork. The Ratten von Manhattan, I think it was called in Germany. But yeah, if you don't like rats, don't watch this. If you don't like seeing rats getting set on fire, you might not want to watch it. But it's good, just classic Bruno Mattei schlockiness. And again, a slipcase I can't get back into its packaging. Awesome film. It's not Mattei's best. My favourite Bruno Mattei film is Zombie Creeping Flesh, which I need to get a nice Blu-ray release of. Then we've got Silvio Amadio's Amok. This was part of 88 Films, the Italian collection, starring, hang on a minute, Barbara Boucher. God, she was a stunner. Jesus Christ, was she a stunner. I've got to say, though, another film that I've tried to watch a few times now, but haven't really got into it, and I don't know what's stopping it, because there's lots of screen time, if you will, with Barbara Boucher. Evening, on a more artistic note, have you seen 9 about the little ragdolls? I don't think I have, and I can't even begin to think if I've heard of that film. Sounds intriguing, though. Definitely. There we've got another schlock master, Joe D'Amato, and this is the Brio Amiga, or Blue Amiga. Yeah, this is a nasty little film as well. Known as the Svengali, no, the censor baiting Sense-abating Svengali of sleaze. Oh god, I'm sure this starts off with a really gruesome introduction. Basically, it's about a guy who his girlfriend dies, and he basically has an unhealthy obsession with taxidermy. Very gruesome in places. Got a great soundtrack from Goblin. Was it Goblin who did the music to this? I think it was Goblin who did the music to this. And it's a really good documentary about Joe D'Amato on there as well. I just wanted to stop myself from singing. Then we've got my favourite Polizia Attaché of all time, The Cynic, the Rat, the Fist, directed by one of my all-time favourite directors, Umberto Lenzi, starring one of my favourite ever actors, Maurizio Merli, who we shall be doing an episode on at some point. But not only does it have Maurizio Merli, it's also got Thomas Millian and John Saxon. And that's like a trifecta of cool as fuck. And yeah, Franco Michelazzi's soundtrack to this is awesome. The theme tune, that dun 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 dun. Yeah, awesome stuff. Absolutely quintessential Italian crime. And it will get mentioned a lot on my Italian crime episode as well. Stick with Umberto Lenzi. We've got Gatti Rossi un labirinto di vetro, or Labyrinth, the English title, or Eyeball. It's also, I'm sure it's also known as Labyrinth. Bruno Nicolai's score is beautiful to this, and one of those examples where I heard the score before I actually watched the film. Yeah, this is a good film. The first time I watched this was on a dirt cheap German DVD where the print was legitimately unwatchable, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And it's basically about like a group of holiday makers. They're going about business, and people get picked off one by one. And for some reason, no one's fleeing the country when the rest of the people on the bus are getting killed. Basically because the police say they can't leave. But yeah, this is a good piece of giallo filmmaking. I feel like I'm actually going to get bunged up so much I can't actually breathe. I must be really fucking allergic to dust. So if you see me having an attack and I'll just slump against the wall, please phone the emergency services. Because I'm too young and pretty to die. Anyway, next up, Lucio Fulci once again, with one of his final sort of swan song moments, O Gatto nel Cervello, Nightmare Concert, otherwise known as Cat in the Brain. Yeah, it's just it's Lucio Fulci, sort of like praising himself, but also criticising himself. He stars as himself in the film, essentially, and he's basically a filmmaker who gets so like affected and drawn in by his own gnarly creations that he just like visualizes people in his life getting killed. It's schlocky, it's gruesome. One of the main things I love about Lucio Fulci and the gore effects in his films sometimes they are so over the top and look so fake that it makes me cringe imagining that's what my guts would look like. Do you know what I mean? It's like, imagine if your anatomy was like that of a victim in a Lucio Fulci film. Oh, it just makes me feel queasy thinking about it. But yeah, very sort of like self-reflecting, kind of takes the piss out of himself. It essentially uses like clips from, I think, films that were never completed and some of his TV movie work. But it works nicely, and it's actually a really interesting sort of character analysis of himself as a director. But it's schlocky as fuck. It's got cheesy music from Fabio Frizzi, and it's definitely worth your time because you can pick it up for a few quid in your cheap sort of like shops like CEX and online. And 88 Films did a really good job, because I think, if I remember correctly, there's like a 45-minute documentary about Lucio Fulci, which is always good. Have you seen Other Hell by Bruno Mattei? Maybe one of my favourite of his. I can't remember what that film is. Is that a cannibal film? I can't remember. That's a title I know, but I'm just not seeing at the moment. But I'll have to look out for that. By the way, any recommendations from you guys? Greatly appreciated. Right, so next up, we're going to have a look at my BFI collection. Well, it's going to start off as BFI collection, but we're also going to put in my Pier Paolo Pasolini Blu-ray collection in this as well. But it is primarily BFI, but then there's other BFI releases. So there's no structure. First up, we've got Abel Ferrara's Pasolini, starring Willem Dafoe, who does a fantastic job portraying Pier Paolo Pasolini. Not only one of my favourite directors, but just one of my favourite intellectuals, one of my favourite philosophers. I don't fully agree with like what his politics were, but he was just a fascinating man, and the fact that he got killed for his art, or probably his words, will always leave an impression on me. And I think Willem Dafoe does a wonderful, wonderful job portraying him. And yeah, considering Abel Ferrara, his first film was like a porno, like Even Pussies Drink Milk or something like that. I don't think it was called Even Pussies Drink Milk. Oh, but if you type that into Pornhub, it's an actual title. But then he's doing like intellectual sort of pieces like this. A fascinating director who I need to get more into. But yeah, Willem Dafoe, awesome in that film, portraying one of my favourite people ever, really. Then we've got Arabian Nights, the Blu-ray release, which is also included in this box set from BFI, the Trilogy of Life, which contains the Decameron, the Canterbury Tales, and I'm all bunged up again because the dust is getting well too much. I might have an asthma attack. I may die on camera. Ideally, I'd pick up the Criterion box set just because the artwork is absolutely gorgeous on it. But I picked this up really cheap from FOP, and I mean, I could always sell that on. Oh my god. But yeah, Arabian Nights, I like the fact that he's doing these adaptations of these important pieces of literature, and he does a really good job. Yeah, Arabian Nights got a great soundtrack by Ennio Morricone. Canterbury Tales, the Decameron. In fact, it actually made me go out and buy a copy of the Decameron, which I say I'm in the middle of reading. I started reading it about 6 months ago and then just stopped because I'm too lazy. But yeah, if you like your sort of like literary adaptations, then I think Pasolini is it's a good go-to. Then we've got 2 films that I've not actually watched yet from Pasolini. Oedipus Rex and The Gospel According to Matthew. So I can't really talk about them, although Eureka did a really nice job with both releases. I mean, I like the fact that you get a nice booklet in both of them with like essays and like original reviews of the films from the time. But yeah, I find it hard to get hold of Eureka stuff in places like FOP and HMV. But yeah, and then probably, well, I think this is my favourite film of all time, and it's definitely my favourite Pasolini film. I have got a couple more on DVD, and I did have a few others on Blu-ray which I sold off in the Great Purge. But Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom. I've got the Criterion DVD release of this, which, in terms of the packaging, which we'll see in the DVD release video, is superior. But I think this is the most concise release of Salò that you can get. Because I think the Criterion release cuts out mention of Nazis, whereas, I mean, I make it out like that. I love the part where they talk about Nazis. But yeah, if you've ever read the Marquis de Sade's 120 Days of Sodom, it's a fucking eye-opener. It'll make your arsehole clench, and it'll make you wince. And I think Pasolini has masterfully transported it from like the 18th century, 17th, 18th century into World War II. But not only that, he talks about consumerism, talks about stuff like McDonald's, big corporations, obviously fascism and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's gruesome in places, it's beautiful in places, it's bleak, and I think to me it's just the greatest piece of cinema of all time. And I mean, I'm sure there are people, especially in the world of like pornography, who have made adaptations of some of the parts of 120 Days of Sodom. But there's no way you could like legitimately make a film completely adapted from that piece of literature. Which, by the way, Marquis de Sade was a real piece of shit, but he gets lauded as one of these masterful, intellectuals and writers. But let's make no mistake, he was a vile individual. But yeah, this is just a must. It's going to be a hard watch for a lot of people, but yeah, definitely worth it. And BFI did an absolutely stellar job with that release. Then we've got, picked this up fairly recently, Short Sharp Shocks. It's alright. Short films from the 70s and 80s. Oh, 60s as well. No, 40s. From all the way from the 40s up until 1980. It's just good British, like, look back into the past. Do you know what I mean? There's some nice, I mean, it didn't really shock me. The pieces are short. Interesting stuff. But, yeah, it's, once you've watched each individual short film on this, it doesn't really warrant a rewatch, to be honest. Then we've got the Alain Robbe-Grillet 6 films box set, 1963 to 1974, which I've not watched all the way through. I've watched The Immortal one and Trans-Europe Express. But I can't really talk too much about them, really, to be honest. I mean, I like the artwork for obvious reasons. What else have we got? If you like women in cages, where some men would argue that's where they belong, and I'm not one of those men, thank you very much. Yeah, it's sort of like there's like one of films on this. Can't remember what it's called. But it's just like a girl gets taken to like a convent or a mental asylum and just gets naked. So yeah, contains strong sex, violence, nudity, and sexual fetish images. So I'll have to do a proper rewatch of this. It's got the beautiful Isabelle Huppert in there, and Jean-Louis Trintignant, who is that guy there. But yeah, it's one of those box. There he is. Classy guy indeed. It's one of those sort of like box sets I'd seen for ages. And I was like, I know nothing about this director. So picked it up dead cheap from FOP, and I need to do a full sort of like adventure into there. And then a film that was probably one of the biggest sort of revelations to me as a lover of cinema. And that's Jean-Luc Godard's Vivre sa vie, starring the absolutely flawless Anna Karina, who is just so adorable in this film. And it's a sad story as well, but it's light-hearted. There's a real sort of like innocence about her. She was just drop dead gorgeous. It's just I can't put into words why I love this film, but I just do. And it really got me into Jean-Luc Godard, who's become one of my favourite directors. So then I picked up this lovely box set from Studio Canal, which is Godard The Essential Collection. I mean, look at that. Is it any wonder I can't breathe? I'm asthmatic, for fuck's sake. But yeah, again, picked this up really quite cheap from HMV. And I've just become obsessed with Jean-Luc Godard because of this. And I need to get more of his films, because he's still going now. So this contains Breathless, Une femme et une femme, Le Mépris, Alphaville, Pierrot Le Fou. I've watched a couple of films from this so far. What have I watched? Breathless is a great little film. I just love his style of filmmaking. Scenes that don't really connect properly, fourth wall breaking, just rebellious sort of filmmaking. Again, a director whose political beliefs I don't always align myself with, but as a director and a mind, I mean, he was in a relationship with Anna Karina, for God's sake. Plus, he looked cool when he had a cigarette. Not gonna lie, but yeah, good stuff. And that's just like, this is just like the tip of the iceberg on his films. And I'm getting a low power message on my phone, so I'm going to read the comments because I've been lacking in the comment department. And then we'll watch another TV spot, and then we'll look at the last few Blu-rays in this. Let's see. So 9 is an animation movie, I think. I love Beyond the Darkness. There we go. Buoniga, Super Goblin soundtrack, necrophilia sleaze, good acting, and rewatchable, great flick. It certainly is. It was my first view when I bought that Blu-ray, and I was like, wow, this is good stuff. The Other Hell, aka L'Altro Inferno, directed by Bruno Mattei, with Claudio Fugazzi, starring Franco Sappi and Carlo Di Maio. Nuns become possessed by the devil and lust after the abbot. Sounds good. And I missed your other comment there. I also love Cat in the Brain and the other movies from which he took the clips: Touch of Death, Ghost of Sodom, Massacre, Hansel and Gretel, The Murder Secret, and Bloody Psycho. Yeah, those films that I need to. I think they've got. I'm sure a couple of those have got a good sort of DVD or Blu-ray release. It's sort of like later entries. But as you've seen, there's been a severe lack of like Lucio Fulci, Dario Argento, Umberto Lenzi. I've got more DVDs from those that I need to upgrade to Blu-ray, but it's getting there. But some of the stuff that I used to have that I just stupidly sold off, it annoys the shit out of me sometimes. But needs must, ladies and gentlemen. So we mentioned this film a little bit earlier, so let's watch a TV spot from Hardcore.
A controversial subject, a brilliant actor, a powerful and touching film, a movie which will take you into a world never dealt with in a major motion picture. A father searches for his missing daughter, only to find she has been used in a sordid and shocking way. George C. Scott in Hardcore.
Now playing Lowe's Day 2, Translux East, RKO 86, also Long Island and Jersey.
There we go. Well, we've got Giallo Echo going on. Murder, death, deception. Anyway, thank you, Dramatic Echo. We're coming to the last leg now of the DVD and Blu-ray. Well, the Blu-rays. Let's get the comments back up. Let's get the comments back up, please. Thank you. Could the devil behind this, or that just be the Mother Superior wants everyone to believe? Hang on a minute, I missed a couple of questions there. A priest investigates paranormal activity at a nun's convent where a deep, dark secret is about to resurface in the guise of murder. In fact, let's... A priest investigates paranormal activity at a nun's convent where a dark... Start again. A priest investigates paranormal activity at a nun's convent. Peter, take two. A priest investigates paranormal activity at a nun's convent where a deep, dark secret is about to resurface in the guise of murder. There we go. Could the devil be behind this? Or is that just the Mother Superior wants everyone to believe? Acting. We've got the film Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Try saying that 10 times when you're pissed. Starring Gary Oldman. Based off, of course, the novel from Jean Le Carre. I really enjoyed this. I love that idea of like men in suits in the 70s drinking whiskey and smoking cigars and talking about how they're going to, overthrow a government and stuff. And then, of course, I had to go out and buy the TV series starring Sir Alec Guinness as George Smiley. This is a great series. I still haven't watched Smiley's People yet, but I love this sort of like British espionage, MI5, Secret Service sort of stuff, behind closed doors and secret handshakes and meetings. And again, smelling of really strong Old Spice in wooden rooms with lots of whiskey and cigars. But yeah, very highly recommended, especially the original TV series. I've still yet to read the actual book itself. Moving on to my tiny sort of like vintage porn collection, which used to be a hell of a lot bigger, but I've got a few more DVDs from this genre. We've got Barbara Broadcast, a film by Radley Metzger, otherwise known as Henry Paris. And yeah, this is a porno chic at its finest. Never let people tell you that like vintage porn is just cheesy, like because you get directors like Radley Metzger who just adds just a genuine artistic flair and knows how to film fucking, obviously. But yeah, got one of my favourite porn actors ever, Dennis Wade. That's Wade Nichols, who of course had a career in TV, and also had success with disco songs such as New York by Night, Like an Eagle, which is one of my favourite songs of all time. But yeah, this is a porno chic. Very much somewhere near its finest. But yeah, starring the absolutely beautiful Annette Haven, amongst many others. Released by Distrapix, who did such a great job on their releases, especially the Henry Paris, Radley Metzger stuff. He also did Naked Came the Stranger, the opening of Misty Beethoven, which I think I would say is his masterpiece. But this is still a damn good sleazy time. Let's see. So much for going a cigarette walk. Well, I hope you've walked the dog, and I hope the dog's happy and ready to settle down. Then we've got A Woman's Torment, released by Vinegar Syndrome, directed by Roberta Findlay, so by a female. And yeah, this has got a bit of like a psychological sort of twist to it. Yeah, struggling marriage, sisters who have, struggling with the mental health, a little bit gritty in places. A very interesting piece of adult cinema that doesn't just go straight to the the in and out scenes, and that's what people forget. Back in the day, these films had script writers, they had producers, directors. Obviously, they had good directors of photography, cinematographers. They had full cast and crews. And I think it's more as soon as the sort of like video age came into play, where it's a lot more accessible and more affordable for people to make a fuck picture, then that's when the sort of like dip in quality came about. But you can get some genuinely artistically viable, well acted and well produced pieces of adult entertainment. And if you want to go down that scuzzy peach fuzz rabbit hole, then Vinegar Syndrome have got you covered. And they do restoration jobs on films that don't deserve it, and that would make even the sort of like the biggest blockbusters from the 80s, the cinematic classics, would make their restorations just look absolutely awful. Well, they wouldn't, because there's a lot of skilled people involved in that. Then we've got Bong Joon-ho's Bong Joon-ho, Parasite. Very good film. Very good director as well. Me and my friend went to the cinema last year in that sort of like lull between lockdowns and watched Memories of a Murder, which was fucking awesome. I think they've released that in the UK now as a double feature with a very much lesser known film. But Parasite, it's darkly funny, it's quite powerful and touching in places, and it's quite shocking as well. And it's definitely worthy of the Oscars and BAFTAs and other accolades that it has won. That has to be the most modern film. I think it may well be. I think it is, Adam. Either that, well, mind you, Hateful Eight. I can't believe that Hateful Eight's been out for a hell of a long time. When you really think about it, Hateful Eight there. I watched half this, then fell asleep. It started off absolutely beautifully, especially with the way that they shot it in like 16mm. A beautiful looking film. I mean, you can say what you want about Tarantino, but he knows how to make a film that's engrossing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I really, really enjoyed that. The final third of that film was just so insane and over the top, and just done so well. And yeah, The Hateful Eight, not a bad film from what I've seen, because I fell asleep because I was tired. One down note: whoever did so is a fool and a coward and too stupid to know. All you've done is provide engagement and made this video slightly more visible. There we go. Good evening, Lee, or afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Hateful Eight isn't that like 2017, 2018, whereas Parasite is 2019. Yeah, so I think Parasite is actually the most recent film in my collection. And very much an enjoyable one. I did really, really enjoy that. Then we've got Severin's release of The Hot Nights of Linda. Jess Franco. Look at that. Neglected. Absolutely neglected. And will kill me in the end. Hot Nights of Linda, directed by the legend that is Jess Franco. Starring Lena Remey. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And yeah, I can't remember much of this at all, but it includes a DVD with the French version, which from what I remember might be a little bit more explicit. And you get quite a few special features as well. What region's that? Because if it's... I don't know. God, died in April 2013. God, what a legend he was. Mocked by many, but loved by even more, I would say. Hateful Eight is an investment. If you want to watch a 2.5 hour play with some unused score for The Thing, I'm one of those people who does. Yeah, I think because I'm not going to lie, it was about like 8 o'clock in the morning when I decided to turn it on. Which, not the best move. I think I got up to the point where they actually get up to the cabin. But up until that point, that like coach ride and it's just the way the film's shot is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's definitely going to get a rewatch pretty soonish, I would think. Then we've got 24 Hour Party People. Probably one of my favourite modern films. I'm not going to lie, it's a tie-up or a toss. It's not a toss-off. It's a toss-up between this and Sallow as being my favourite film of all time. I love this because I love the Manchester music scene. I love Manchester's cultural history. I love Factory Records, Tony Wilson, an absolute legend. All of those people who were involved in that sort of like story of bringing Manchester to the cultural forefront. Plus, I think Michael Winterbottom is a wonderful director. And another thing I love about this is this film isn't just shot in one specific way. There'll be these sort of scenes that go on, and then there'll be this like out of nowhere sort of, I don't know, it's so hard to put into terms. It's like a collage of different sort of filmmaking schools of thought, if that makes sense. Great performances. You know me by now. Manchester is my sort of like adopted. You say that you don't live there, Peter, so it can't be adopted. But I could just spend day after day just walking around the streets of Manchester, and things like this play a massive part in that. Unpopular opinion: Tarantino's worst scripted film is *Inglourious Basterds*. Also, you're Peter. You love to go to parties in Manchester. I certainly do. You know me too well, Adam. You know me too well. *Inglourious Basterds' is worst scripted film. Ooh, that's a good one, man. That's a good talking point. Just quickly have a look at this. I was told that some downloads are simply a mistake when someone gives a like on an iPhone. Okay. Has someone been disliking me? Well, he's gonna get a punch from me. No, if you dislike, you dislike. If you like, you like. It's all about, well, mind you, they're going to take away the dislikes soon, aren't they? So it's just about engagement, really, isn't it? But yes, Populous worst scripted film, *Inglourious Basterds*. That's a tough one, because I think throughout his career, he's done consistently good scripts. And I don't think he's ever, even in some of the scripts he's wrote, that's a tough one, that. I'd have to really think about that. But yeah, good. That'll be a good discussion, like a Tarantino stream. God, because no one's ever done that before. But yeah, that'd be an interesting talking point. Good evening, Mondo. Good evening, Terry. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for joining. You caught me in a moment of reflection. We'll catch the rest of the stream replay. Keep the great content, Peter. Cheers. Cheers, Lee. Really appreciate that, buddy. And you know, I'm always been a big fan of the podcast as well. And it sort of played a part in me, you know, wanting to rekindle this. So massive thank you for that, my friend. You take care. Hope you enjoy the rest of it when you come back. But yeah, good evening. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched this. So I've been sat here for 2 hours just showing you films that I've bought and not really giving you too much information about said films that I've bought, and not remembering names of actors, directors, films, composers. That's what it's all about. And it's just about, I just like this. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying reading your comments and answering your questions and hearing your opinions on different films. That's what I love. And yeah, you'll probably see a lot more live streams than I was originally anticipating, to be honest. But no matter what, I do appreciate you guys stopping by. And I say that as it's not a great part start to film, and it's even worse finish script-wise, but visually amazing. I do definitely see where you're coming from. I very much see your point there, Adam. Very much so. But I'd have to revisit it and then come back to you on that one. Interesting. His worst scripted film. I like it. I like it. Coming up to the last 4 Blu-rays. Suspiria. Released by Cult Films. Who is this actually released by? I've never really known who it was who released this. Yeah, Cult Films. I think that's what the label's actually called. I used to have a really nice Anchor Bay DVD box set of this, which came in like, you got like 2 or 3 DVDs, the score from Goblin, and then some really nice postcards. But again, sold that for much more than I actually paid for it. And yeah, I was really glad to see this get a nice UK release. It had a release a few years ago, which I think people weren't really too happy with. I'm not sure where people stand on this specific release, but I did watch it at the latter end of last year, because Suspiria's probably my favourite Dario Argento film, and I couldn't see anything that was like problematic about it, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is an awesome film, and the closest I've ever got film-wise to actually being in a nightmare, just because of the imagery, the use of colour, especially Dario Argento's the use of Technicolor in this. Just the atmosphere, the setting. There's just something so haunted about this film. And yeah, I've still yet to see the remake, which looks really good, but not as a Suspiria remake. Plus, the main girl who plays as who played as Susie Bannion. What was her name? Jessica Harper. Plus, the girl who plays Jessica Harper's character in the sequel is just gorgeous. Plus, it's got Tilda Swinton in, so Swinton. Is it Tilda Swinton or Tilda Swanton? I can't remember. But this is an absolute must if you want to get yourself into Italian horror. It really, really is. It's a genuine masterpiece and one of my all-time favourite films that never gets boring, even when it's taken you a few years to watch it. Anyway, so we'll do one more TV spot, and then we'll look at the last 3 Blu-rays, and we'll probably wrap up, do another cheeky TV spot, and then we'll call this stream, call it a day. There we go. Kicked me out for no reason. Hang on a minute. Am I back? I don't know. Let's have a look at this. Let me sort this out. No. There we go. Right. Can anyone hear me? I have no idea what happened then. I was just trying to get me stuff playing, and then I got booted out for no reason. Anyway, let's give it another try. I really feel like fucking watching that now. But yeah, don't know what happened there. Apologies about that. I'm glad that the sound is all good. Technical difficulties on a professional podcast. These things happen. On the other side of the coin, which Pulp Fiction, arguably the best scripted, that is for well thought out short stories. I would very much agree with that one. And it's Tilda Swinton and it's Son Noma. Thank you. Thank you for correcting my pronunciation there. So, the last 3 films are part of the premium collection. I'm not sure if there's one company that releases these or if it's just multiple companies and they get this treatment. But we've got the Yakuza, starring Robert Mitchum, which is a good little film. It's actually just Robert Mitchum kicks ass, and I can't believe he said ass instead of arse. Beautiful, beautiful release. And you also get some nice postcards of various different poster artworks. Very nice indeed. It's little touches like this that I love. I'm gonna have to kind of like come up with an art project for those and frame them or something like that, or just, as I said, put them scattered on the wall of sleeves. But yeah, I can't remember the full extent of the story of this. So it's like a former private eye, knows a lot about Japan, then began to keep an iron grip on its gambling, prostitution, and protection rackets. He knows there's a right way to approach the brutal underworld, and he knows there's one powerful mod with respect, greater power. Robert Mitchum's Kilmer in this haunting East meets West head-on thriller powered by the team of Harry Hollywood writers, Paul Schrader, his name pops up again, and Robert Town, Chinatown, director Sim Pollock, the interpreter, co-starring Japanese Takura Ken, and veteran character actor Brian Keith. The Accuser is a modern film noir in which honour and loyalty become issues of life and death. Violence erupts within the speed of a Tokyo-bound bullet train, and the last thing to die is tradition. Could not have give a better descriptive write-up of a film. Lovely stuff. And I don't know, just there's something really satisfying about Robert Mitchum in that. I love Jackie Brown and have a soft spot for Death Proof. I would say, with no irony, that Death Proof is my favourite Tarantino film. Shoot me. But no, I don't know, there's just something about Death Proof that I proper can get behind. I don't know what it is. To me, it feels the closest to an exploitation film from the 70s. You know, when nothing really happens, but there's like pivotal moments. But yeah, I do love that. Jackie Brown's well written and a slow burner. I do like a good slow burner. It's been a while since I've watched Jackie Brown. Again, on the rewatch list, and I've got plenty of opportunities to watch films. So yeah, there's some here that I need to revisit again, and it's just making me want to watch films again. Next up, we've got Lee Marvin in Point Blank. Basically out to get revenge from the guy who directed Deliverance. So it's basically, they double-cross him. They did a big bank heist, double-crossed him, and then he wants to get revenge. Lee Marvin's just cool, calm, collected in this. Doesn't really say much, shows hardly any emotion in the film, but it's just one of those like cool 70s, not like action-packed films, but just, you know, like hard-boiled sort of films. Again, in the release, you get beautiful cards, and it's just Lee Marvin's awesome in this. And he's just a great actor in general. And he's double crossed by the oh my god, what's his name? The chief. Was it the chief or the mayor from Dirty Harry? That man with a really distinct voice and kind of looks like Tom Jones. I don't count Death Proof and Plant Terror as Tarantino films. It's difficult to see how much he's did and how much Robert Rodriguez did. So as far as I can tell, Death Proof is a Tarantino film with maybe a little bit of production assistance from Rodriguez. I'm not too sure. Planet Terror is solely Robert Rodriguez, but I'm not too sure because it makes sense if they had like a hand to play in each film. But I'd see where you're coming from. Lee Marvin is good as long as you don't ask him to sing. sea paint your wagon. I like the reference. And then last, but by no means least, in my Blu-ray collection, you want to talk about well-scripted films. I don't think, well, you'd be hard-pressed to find a film that is as well-scripted as Chinatown. Unfortunately directed by Roman Polanski. But this is, watched this for the first time and I was captivated from start to finish. Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, just well acted, brilliant script, as we've just said. The pacing is perfect. There's never a dull moment, even when there's not much happening. Just an awesome film from start to finish, and I just love Jack Nicholson. And even Roman Polanski's character in this is entertaining. But yeah, it's one of those films that I'm afraid to watch again, just in case the shine dulls on it, if that makes sense. I'm afraid that I'll watch it a second time and not enjoy it as much. But it is a wonderful film. Let's see. I mean, Death Proof with the double feature with Planet Terror in Grindhouse. God, I remember buying that on Blu-ray years ago. I think it was like one of the first Blu-rays that I actually bought. Because I was dead against Blu-rays for such a long time. And now I've seen the light. But I'm not touching 4K Ultra HD. I'm going to take a step away, even though there are some great releases coming up. Best final line in a film after Casablanca. Then to Pedro says, indeed, hence why both films are intended as a collaborative effort. I like Grindhouse as the full experience. I like Death Proof as a film on its own. Don't really have much time for Planet Terror. I thought it was a little bit dumb. To make it, the like post-production to make it look like a retro film was a little bit over the top. It looked a bit too polished, but then they had all these like damaged film overlays and grain and stuff, and it just didn't work. Whereas Death Proof, it really did look like a restored old film. Really slow pacing, the performances, but yeah, but as a whole package, really good stuff. The final reference was for Chinatown. I can't remember the last line in Chinatown. I've just said how brilliant that film is, and I can't for the life of me think of that last line. But yeah, it's a beautiful film. And Adam's going to have his tea now, which is perfect timing because I've come to the end of this. My throat is killing me. I'm getting clogged up. I've surpassed 2 hours and 16 minutes, and I currently have about 4% battery. And Pedro, definitely there. You can tell it's Tarantino because his use of feet. I didn't like the use of Margot's feet in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She had dirty feet. I didn't like that. Catch you later, Mr. Mondo. Thank you for joining me, Terry. Really appreciated. And thank you to everyone else who's joined me on the stream and those who are watching this on the playback. Yeah, that took a long time to just go through a handful of Blu-rays, but I enjoyed every single minute of it, so I hope you guys did too. Next up, we've got the DVDs, where there are, I'd say, a few more, but hopefully we can get through those a little bit quicker and be a bit more concise. I just thought about that. It's about, you know, responding to comments and stuff like that. And if anybody's got any questions, suggestions, or if any of these like special edition releases you've got an interest in, then let me know and I can do a little video about it or something like that. But yeah, if you've got any suggestions for content, for themes and stuff like that for future episodes, just hit me up in the comments down below. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for taking the time out of your Monday evening or afternoon or whenever you're watching this to see me sat here in front of the camera talking about DVDs and Blu-rays. And to see us out, we'll watch one more TV spot. So massive, massive thank you, everyone. And I do greatly, greatly appreciate it. I really, really do.
It happens
Come to me.
before your eyes and inside your head.
They can program you. They can play you like a videotape recorder.
You let me watch it?
Videodrome. First, it controls your mind. Then, it destroys your body. Videodrome. A terrifying new weapon. Rated R.
Now playing at Hollywood Pacific and Pacific's Pickwood Theaters.
Turn that off. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for sticking around, and hopefully you'll join me next time when I'm not a sniffly mess and we can have a look at the DVDs. And if you've got any suggestions for films to watch or any thoughts and opinions on any of the films you've seen or any of the releases or some of your favourite DVD, Blu-ray companies, whatever, some of your favourite streaming services, let me know in the comments down below. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I shall see you all soon. You all take care, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.